Hi everyone, this is the UB-Xa from Behringer, an analog polyphonic synthesizer. It's a modernized interpretation of the classic Oberheim UB-Xa, which was released in December 1980. Just like the original, it has split and double modes for playing key splits or for layering two sounds. The Behringer UB-Xa adds useful features like a polyphonic sequencer, velocity, polyphonic aftertouch and MPE. It includes a comprehensive MIDI implementation and has 16 voices of polyphony. It also adds a modulation matrix with 8 slots, 42 modulation sources and 29 destinations. You can choose from 8 vintage modes. They will mimic the behavior of old electronic components, which usually had wider tolerances as the ones of today, and which were aging or degrading over time. For more details, you could check the user manual from Behringer's website. I will put up a link to the description. Okay, now let's have a look at the structure. The UB-Xa has 2 voltage-controlled oscillators per voice and 1 noise generator. The VCOs can produce saw, triangle or pulse waves with selectable pulse width and PWM. Oscillator 2 can be synced to oscillator 1 and it can be modulated by the filter envelope. It has resonant low-pass filters per voice with a 2-pole or 4-pole mode. Key tracking can be applied to the filters as well. By default, the resonance won't go up to self-resonance, but you can increase it with parameters in the Atrophy settings. Then there's 2 ADSR envelopes, one for the filter and one for the amp. Additionally, in shift mode you can use 2 simple attack decay envelopes with delay. These are mainly for shaping the LFO modulation, but can be assigned to other destinations in the mod matrix. There's one monophonic LFO with 6 selectable waveforms, sync and retrigger, and another LFO with 5 waveforms which is placed in the performance section, left to the keyboard. The UB-Xa can be played in unison mode with up to 16 voices per key, and there's also polyphonic unison, where 1 to 8 voices can be applied per note. It also has an arpeggiator and a polyphonic step sequencer, which can store up to 64 steps per preset. Just like the LFOs, they can be synced to MIDI clock. The preset memory holds up to 512 single presets. It is organized in 4 banks, A to D, with 128 presets for each bank. 35 split programs and 35 double programs can be stored as well. Most of its functions can be reached with a dedicated knob or button. The primary functions are labeled in white, but there are many more functions hidden behind the shift button. This works similar to the page 2 functions of Oberheim synthesizers like the OB8. The gray labels under the controls are showing the secondary shift functions for the most part. Let's find out how it all works. So, how's the overall workflow of the instrument? Let's start by selecting presets. You see here's this select encoder. With that one you can select the presets, and by pressing it will load them up like this. Or you can just use the plus-minus buttons to go through them like this. And also you can select the banks with shift. Like now it's in bank A. If you press plus, then you go to bank B, bank C, and bank D. Yeah, so that's how you select presets. And also you have these assignable preset recall here. These are, you can make like, you can save up to 15 presets in this section. And it works like just pressing 1, 2, 3, 4, or combination of these, like 1 and 2 together, 1 and 3 together, and so on. And if you want to save your own preset to any location here, you can just press like where you want to have it. Let's say you want it, if you press 1 and 4, then you press right, and it will be saved. So now it's on place 1 and it's on place 1 and 4. Okay. Writing presets is with this button. So if you just press write, then it asks you to confirm. If you do so with the select button by pressing on it, you can edit the name, and if you press again, it will be saved. If you want to just write over without editing the name, you can just press write 2 times. Yeah, so for the shift functions. I mean, this Synthi has all the controls on the surface for the most of the functions, but there are also hidden functions. Yeah, it's not really hidden, but secondary functions behind this shift function. So if you see, the shift is like in gray, the letters, and if you see here the gray labels, these describe what happens if you press shift. So for instance, if you want to change the sequence of settings, you just press shift and settings, and there you go. And if you leave the mode, you have to press shift again, and now all the controls are working with what it's saying with the white labels here. Yeah, for the shift functions, there's also a temporary function, so you can just press and hold and then alter your settings. Like for instance, if you want to activate the LFO phase to 90 degrees, then you just press it. And as you maybe noticed, you can't see now the changes in the display, and that's because you are in a menu for the sequencer, and it doesn't leave it automatically. So if you want to leave any menu, you can just press compare 2 times, and you're back to the main main preset screen. And now if you press shift and alter the functions, you see now it will be described in the display. So everything will be described here, like if you turn a knob, you can see the value. This is also good if you want to use the compare function. Like if you have a saved preset like this one, and you want to compare your actual value of the filter frequency to the stored one, then you can see in the upper row, that's the stored value. And this is the actual value while I'm turning the knob, and the arrow shows you, if you want to go to the original value, if you need to turn it up higher or lower. Okay. There are some more functions which you can reach with the shift button. For instance, if you want to transpose a patch, you just press shift and then transpose it, so it will be transposed in semitones. If you don't press shift, you will transpose it with octaves like this. But this function will also be saved with the preset. So if you want to, I don't know, program a bass sound and save it and not press transpose down all the time, you can do that with this shift transpose thing. Another way to transpose it, let's set it back to 0, would be in single mode. I press and hold upper, now it blinks, and now I can just transpose it like C3, the middle C is 0, and from there I can transpose it up like +7 now if I press a G, another octave, or I can even transpose it down. So press upper and hold it, and then use the keyboard to transpose it. Another thing is if you want to save the patch volume, there can be differences in volume because the oscillators can only be like more or less on or off. Only oscillator 2 can be on or off or half volume. And if you use a 24 dB, the 4-pole filter, then it probably will be quiet or like not so loud as the 12 dB filter. So if you want to use this, you need to press shift and then volume. And now you see it says patch volume, and this will also be stored with the preset. If you use this one, you can make up for loudness differences between the patches. Now let's have a look at the Víntage modes and what it's all about. So you see there's a shift function available. It says Víntage. And if you press shift and go to it, you see these atrophy settings. And there are 8 profiles which are saved. And each of them has little variations which mimic the behavior of old components or old synthesizers. So now it's in UB-Xa mode. You can set it to OB8 mode. Let's see if there's a difference in sound. Okay, wrong sound. Let's load up another one. I don't know, maybe this one here. Okay. So now it's UB-Xa mode. If I go to the next one, OB8 mode. Yeah, it's less aggressive. This also sounds different. The aged one with more detuning. Yeah, you get the idea. You can alter these settings, like make your own edits of these. If you go to the voice menu, that's also with the shift functions. But beware, before you do that, you need to go into the globals and choose atrophy lock, and then you have to set it to edit advanced. Otherwise, these settings are locked. Okay, let's do that. Let's go to the voice mode, and here you have the atrophy settings. And yeah, there are many parameters to choose from, where you could just set different behaviors and offsets between the voices. For instance, you can also go in here and change the resonance of the filter or the cutoff frequency, stuff like this. And with this setting, if you set it to 100%, then the filters will be able to produce self-resonance, but I will leave it like this. Okay. Yeah, so let's go to the oscillators. A bit of explanation. Start with an init patch, shift and initial, and then choose OK. Yeah, now we have an init preset. It's just 2 pulse waves, and the filter is open. Yeah, right now both oscillators are activated. So let's deactivate and only listen to oscillator 1. Now oscillator 1, the pulse is enlightened, and that's what you're hearing. Yeah, I mean, it's a pulse wave, it's a saw wave, and it's a triangle wave if nothing is selected. So each of the oscillators can produce one of these waveforms: saw, pulse, and triangle. The pulse has a pulse width parameter. The control is here, so you can alter it, and you can of course apply pulse width modulation from the LFO with this button and with this depth control. Yeah. Like this. As you can see, if I turn this knob, the pulse width, it will be set for both oscillators. If you want to have them differently, you can just press the according oscillator, like the pulse button on this one, and then turn the pulse width, and it will only alter the pulse width for the first one. And you can choose the second one if it's active, and just turn it to a different value. You see, like this. Okay, let's turn it back. Yeah, oscillator 1 can be transposed with the frequency knob, and this one will only transpose in octaves, as you can see here, like up to 3 octaves. And the second oscillator can be tuned in semitones. And then you have a detuning on this end here. So this will detune oscillator 2. Let's listen to it. So in the middle it's in tune, and you can detune it down or up. Yeah, oscillator 2 can be synced to oscillator 1. So if I activate it, yeah, and you can influence the frequency of oscillator 2 with the filter envelope, with this button here. So now the pitch will be modulated by the filter envelope. And the strength of this modulation is determined with the modulation amount here. Like so. Yeah. Let's turn it back again. One tip, if you want to set the frequency of the first oscillators in semitones as well, you can do this with the modulation menu. So there's a parameter, oscillator 1 transpose, and yeah, there you can set a control. There's one continuous control like the 18++. Yeah, I'll show you that. If you go to the modulation here, and then yeah, with this one, this will be like more or less like a fixed voltage. And if you go to 1 transpose here, activate it, and now you can set it in semitones for oscillator 1 as well. See, like so. And you can even bring it more down. Yeah. Let's go back. Yeah, then you can set the play mode to Unison here with this button. Let's do that. And if Unison is active, and if you press Shift and then press Unison, then you can see I can set it to one voice, so it's more or less a monophonic synth. And I can yeah, just add voices with Shift and this button press. As you can see, it will go up to 16 voices. Or you can choose 8, like on the classic UB-Xa. And then you can use voice detune to detune it even further if that's not enough. And this is Shift and the detune knob here. And then it will detune the voices. Like so. And let's leave the Unison mode. The voice detune value will stay even for polyphonic stuff, so you can make it sound very broken. I mean, if you're into this. Okay, let's set it back to 0. And if Unison is not active, you can also use Shift and press Unison, and now you see it will set the polyphony per key. So let's say if you have a polyphony of 2, you will hear 2 voices. Or 3. And then use the voice detune again. Yeah, so you have 2 voice polyphony or 3 voice or up to 8 voices per key. But of course, if you set it to 8 voices, you only have 2 notes left here. So in total, it will never be more than 16 voices, of course. Yeah, let's set it back. Okay, now it's poly 1. Yeah, then you have a Portamento control. So this is polyphonic Portamento. Let's just quickly create sound. And turn up Portamento. And there's also a shift function for Portamento. This is like if you press shift and turn Portamento, then it's Portamento bend, as you can see here. But you need to activate it. Like to activate Portamento bend, press shift and velocity aftertouch. And there on entry 1 you find the Portamento modes, and you can activate the bend. Oh, I didn't. Okay, press plus and now it's activated. And in order to use that, press shift and set a value. If you set it to minus, then it will so every note will glide up from a lower point. And if you set it to positive, then the note will come down. Yeah, so this is Portamento bend. Keep that in mind. Like shift and Portamento is this bending function, and activate it in this menu. Now let's have a listen at the filters. You have a 2-pole and a 4-pole mode. So if the button is off, it's in 2-pole mode. And yeah, without resonance, it sounds like this. Half resonance. Let's say 80%. And full resonance. Okay. And then you have the 4-pole filter, again without resonance. That's a bit sharper. Half resonance. And full. Okay. The filter has also key tracking. So if you press that, it will just follow the notes on the keyboard. So it will be brighter with higher notes. Yeah, and then we have 2 envelopes. Like this one is the one for the filter. It has attack, decay, sustain, and release, like pretty standard. And also a loudness envelope, which is the second row. And you can also use these knobs to set in the shift mode the mod envelope, and this will influence the LFO. For the LFO, this one can be tempo synced. Also, like if you press shift and turn the rate, then it will be tempo synced. So you can hear you have different values. You can see it here. And if you just turn it without shift, it goes to a self-synced rate, like according to this rate button. Then you have 6 different waveforms for this one. And also a retrigger function. This is if you initialize a patch, it's active. If you press and hold the waveform button, it will be like free running. And now this is a sine wave, falling saw, a pulse wave, a rising saw, a sample and hold, which derives its input from the noise. And also there's a sample waveform. This takes the output of the performance LFO and samples it in the rate, which is determined with this rate knob. The LFO has 2 modulation buses, and you can see the destinations here. It's for the oscillator 1 frequency, oscillator 2 frequency, filter frequency, and bus 2 will be for PWM of oscillator 1 and 2. and also for volume. So to assign it, it's pretty simple. If you just want to assign it to the frequency, you press oscillator 1, for instance. And you can assign it, I don't know, to the volume as well. Like so. Of course, you can assign it to other sources, to other destinations as well. This is done via the mod matrix, and it has some page 2 or shift functions. Like for instance, if you set, let's do that. If you set oscillator 1 frequency to quantize, like press shift and press this button. Let's turn this one down and this one up. See, now you have a stepped modulation in semitones. If you turn this off, yeah. Then you can set an LFO tracking, so the LFO will be faster the higher you play. Let's do that. Yeah, so here it's slow, here it's a bit faster, okay? Yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard, it's pretty easy as well. So it's fun to use because you have everything on the surface. And if you want to go into a bit more advanced functions, you can use shift and then yeah, check these parameters which are here. The mod envelopes can also be reached with shift, as I said, and these ones will influence both LFOs. Yeah, so the mod matrix, how does this work? Shift and mod, button 4. And here you have 8 slots, like modulation matrix 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And yeah, and you have 42 sources to choose from. You can go through this list and choose from a modulation source. And if you press the button, you go to the destination, and you can choose from 29 destinations here. And there are some unusual ones as well, which is pretty cool. And also for many things you can just use if you leave the shift mode. Yeah, you can set the amount, a negative and a positive amount here, by the way. So and a quick way to assign sources and destinations is if you go, for instance, to the destination, and then you want to assign this modulation lever, so it automatically jumps there. Or, I don't know, you want to use this knob to modulate something, so you can do that. The pitch bend, yeah. So there are many things where you can choose from if you use this one here. And if you want to assign it to a destination, let's say you want to assign the modulation lever to the filter frequency, then you just turn this knob as long as it's selected. And now, wait a minute, I need to. Yeah, so now you can change it with that one, okay? Yeah, you can also set modulate the panning with this modulation matrix, which is pretty cool. There are many useful sources here to do that. You can just use the LFO, or there are some special ones like spiral. Let's put that to panning. There we go. Yeah, now it's modulating with full amount. So this will apply a very, very lively stereo panorama. Also there's flip left right, so on each key press the panning will alter between left and right. Oh, did set it to sorry, I set it to filter frequency again. I didn't notice it. Let's set it to panning back again. Okay. Yeah. Okay, and then you have 8 left, 8 right. This means like 8 voices will be on the left side and the other 8 on the right side, like if you go through it. Yeah, and also there's this butter thing, which is also cool. This goes like through all the voices, and each voice will be more on the other side, like a little bit more. It will go through all the voices and through the whole stereo field. Yeah, it's hard to describe. Let's just do this. Yeah, apart from that, if you want to if you want to alter the panning, there's also in this voice menu you have the option. If you go into the voice and then stereo panning, now every voice, you can see here this little dot, it's set to the middle. So with plus minus you can choose your voice. Let's say you go into this one, and with select you select the voice, and now you can set it to plus to left or right. If you press and hold the plus, it will go to the most right, and the other way around if you press minus, and if you press both together it will set it back to the middle. Now the thing with this voice pannings here is this will be applied to the Atrophy settings, which is loaded. Like for now, I have the profile UB-Xa loaded, and if I alter the panning settings here, this will be applied to the UB-Xa setting. You don't need to save it, so it will stay there. And I mean, it depends on you. You can pan your voices like very precisely with this menu, or you can just use the panning modulation as I just showed. For me, it's a bit more flexible to use it with the modulation matrix and not set it fixed with this voice panning. But I mean, it depends on you and your taste how you want to do it. So what's more? Yeah, we have an arpeggiator. I mean, you know how an arpeggiator works. It has many settings here. So there's an arpeggiator mode which you can set to up, down, random, exclusive, inclusive, order. So there are many modes to choose from. I won't show everything because I mean it's an arpeggiator. Yeah, you can sync it, like it could be global synced, which means the arpeggiator figure will be tied to a timeline. So if you change something, it will still continue to go up and not retrigger again. Or you can set it to retrigger, like with each new key press, it will start on the lowest note again if you set it to up, for instance. Yeah, then there's an octave setting, so it will just add octaves to the arpeggio. Yeah, it's pretty flexible and it's fun to use. Also, there's a hold button for the arpeggiator, but also for notes, like if I press hold with the chord, then it will be held. Or if I just use the arpeggiator and then press hold, it will hold the arpeggio. Yeah? Okay. Yeah, you have a chord function. So if you play a chord and then press chord, it will be saved. And now you have one chord on one key. And you can also play single notes over it, like if you hold it then you can play single notes. Yeah. If you press chord again, then you're back in single mode. So yeah, what's more, there's this little sequencer. It can hold up to 64 steps, and the steps can be polyphonic. And it's pretty easy. It's basic, but it's pretty good for just if you have an idea and just want to have like some kind of sketchbook, or if you are in split mode, you can just activate it for one side and then play solo over the other side. Yeah, I mean it's good to have, and to use it you just press record and yeah, just play your steps, and it will count. Now it says step 0. So 8 steps. You can also put in rests with this one. And if you want to have a longer note, you can do that as well. If you just press tie and then, yeah, like so. Yeah, so pretty simple, pretty basic, but it's fun. And also you can play chords with that one. It's also possible. Yeah, the sequence will be saved with the preset if you write it, but you can also load up sequences from other presets. To do so, you have to press record and hold it. And now if you turn the encoder, you can load up presets. You can load up like the sequence from another preset. If you have found something, then you just press select and it will be loaded. Yeah. And also there's a pause mode, which is pretty nice. Like if you play and then press pause and now press a key, it will start from there again. Yeah, and also this this sequencer will be transposed if I just play a different key. Okay, so what's more? I almost forgot to mention the performance section. I mean, it's pretty flexible. Like, you have a pitch bend lever here, and by default it's set to 2 semitones. But if you press the amount button here, it will go over an octave. And this is pretty nice. You can set it to oscillator 2 only, and if you have activated both oscillators, and let's say you have it put to sync, then it's pretty cool because now yeah, if you set it to 2 semitones, then it's a bit weak, you know. Yeah, so that's for this one. And also you can apply this performance LFO to the oscillators here. Like, for instance, let's do that to oscillator 1 and 2. Now it's this triangle wave. So while this one can be used for PWM or other stuff, this one can be used for vibrato or vibrato. But it can also be used just to oscillate oscillator 1. Like, wait a minute, sync is still active. Yeah, or oscillator 2. Whatever. Yeah, and then you can use it also for the upper and lower patch. this is for the split and the double modes, and now we come to that. So if you press split, you have two sounds split from the middle of the keyboard. Like here you have the lower sound. And let's choose a different one. Let's choose this one for the lower, and for the upper you have like this brass ensemble sound. Let's choose another as well. Maybe this one. Okay, and now the split point is at C3 here. Yeah, and if you want to move the split point, you just press split and just play the key where you want to have it. Let's say you want this choir sound only for the higher octaves, then you press this key, and now the other sound will be here, and the choir will start here. Okay. Also you can, if you're in split mode, like you can select what sound you want. If you just choose, like if you want to change a sound for the upper section, then you need to press upper, and then with plus minus you can just load up a sound. And for the lower, like this dot will go down, and now you choose the sound for the lower section. Yeah, and if you want to save it, you can write it here. Like if you press a little longer, then it will show like where you want to write it. With plus, you can choose which memory slot you want to use. Let's say I go to memory slot O, so split and O, and now I press confirm. Now this is saved to, let's scroll to this. This is saved to O. There it is. For recalling presets in the split mode, you need to use the select encoder, and then by pressing it, you will load it up. Yeah, there are 35 memory slots, so to speak. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, in double mode, you will have layer sounds, like both sounds will be spread over the whole keyboard range, and yeah, now you have these two sounds. The loudness for the lower and the upper will be set with the balance knob, by the way. So if you have the balance turned all the way left, then you will only hear the lower sound. And if you turn it to the other side, you will only hear the upper side. So this is for both split and double mode. And so you can set the balance between the sounds here, like it says on the knob. Yeah, and if you want to transpose one of both sounds, you could just press and hold, like let's say I want to transpose the upper sound, then I just press upper and hold it until it blinks, and now I can just transpose it maybe by 15, and now let's turn it back to 0. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that was my little overview and walkthrough of the UB-Xa. I hope you found it useful. I mean, at least I hope it was useful to somebody. But however, if you liked it, just leave me a thumbs up. And yeah, see you next time. Thank you.